Record. Hello, everyone. It's Cate Stillman with yogahealer.com. Oh, this is funny, Chris. My daughter thought our last name was yogahealer.com until she was like 5.
Sometimes you got to live inside the brand. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, I guess so. So, hey guys, I'm here with Chris Badgett, who's the online course guy. Chris has a cool story. I listened to your origin story on YouTube. I was totally YouTube checking you out today.
Okay.
LMS Cast, this learning management system. Chris knows all about how to build online courses. His whole brand and his technology, his tech company is built on making it easier for course creators like me and like lots of other people out there who want to share their expertise and their life experiences and generate income and impact online, to be able to do so, and to be able to do so off WordPress, which I also have. I'm a massive fan of that. So we are going to talk today about the past and future of progressive communities in online courses. So another way I'd like to say it is like evolutionary communities, or communities that have come together to evolve usually in a specific way, versus just like the communities that we naturally end up in, like our neighborhood or our school district or our, sort of random scene in life. Because what I've noticed is that these evolutionary communities are where like all the traction happens. So let's start with, do you want to just tell a little bit of your backstory of like how you got into being that online course guy and where it's taken you?
Sure. I'll do the short version. So I'm not your typical tech entrepreneur. I'm kind of a nature freak. I used to do a lot of rock climbing, mountaineering, long distance hiking, traveling mountains around the world and stuff like that. I used to run sled dogs in Alaska. I used to live on a glacier in Alaska. Up there, I kind of felt the urge to blog about leadership, outdoor leadership specifically, which is what got me into WordPress. And, once
because you started a blog on WordPress.
Yeah, I went to YouTube and I was like, how to make a website. And I ended up learning how to make a blog. And I wanted to write about leadership because over time I had to manage a company up there, and I learned how to work with people, and I'm really into like helping others develop. So that's what I wanted to express about. And that's kind of what bridged the gap for me from nature to tech. And basically I just fell in love with WordPress, the technology, the ability to have an online business, work from anywhere. I built an agency. We specialized in kind of expert industry membership sites. And there wasn't a good product to kind of turn a website into a full-blown learning management system. So for WordPress, so we built one, and that's kind of the story of Lift Your LMS. Through all that, I'm a homeschooling dad. I live on a little organic farm on the coast of Maine. I have no background, no formal training in business or technology, yet here I am.
Yeah, awesome. So that transition, so for those who aren't really familiar with like how things kind of happen, like they're on a website and then they sign up for a course and then they're on a website, but they don't really know, like they just know it's a different part of a website. Maybe it has a different hyperlink or et cetera. But do you want to describe like that process of like what's available behind a paywall and what's available on the other side of it?
Yeah. So, a website for a business, like if you're, let's say you have a yoga business, or you're a coach, or you're some kind of niche expert, starts out as like a brochure of like, okay, this is who I am. This is where I'm located. This is how to contact me. This is what I'm all about. Here are my thoughts on the blog. But you can start creating information products or, digital content that people have to pay to get access to. Particularly these days, those are known as online courses or memberships that include other benefits, potentially community as well, like forums or access to offline events and things like that. LMS stands for learning management system, which in the older days, like let's say 2006 to 2012, people would put up a paywall. People would pay, they'd go over the paywall, and then they'd get a bunch of content, like a bunch of stuff. But over time, people want a more organized, less overwhelming experience. So people started creating more of structured flows through things like courses and having progress tracking so people can pick up where they left off. Maybe the person wants people to consume things in certain orders to better do the learning properly. So you get into things like prerequisites and quizzes and certifications and things like that. So all this is possible from your website. It just starts with that kernel of a seed of like, hey, this is who I am. This is my brochure, but you can go further with that.
Awesome. And that's where some people choose to do all that in WordPress, even on the LMS side. And that's really where your technology fits in, is helping people organize that and see what their options are and design specifically to their needs.
All from the website they're already using to market their business. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I just want to, for like the many yoga health coaches will listen to this, and they're, often they're like, should I use Aweber, or should I use Kajabi, or should I use, like, how do all the things fit? How do all the things fit together in terms of like buying a package versus doing something like Lifter LMS?
I can just provide a couple key things there. I see a lot of people that are overwhelmed with all the tech options out there, and there's a lot of advice out there of like, oh, you need to do this, you need to have this email list, you need to have a coaching program, you need to have this products, you need to have a mastermind, you need to do all these things. But the way I help people kind of declutter the overwhelm of all that, because when people get to us and they're like shopping for software, they're exhausted, they're overwhelmed, they don't know what they don't know who to trust. So I just often recommend that people slow down and just put your customer at the center of your business. Like, not what you think you need, but what do they need? Do they need some services? Do they need some, self-study training products? Do they need coaching? Do they want coaching? Do they want it in private format? Do they want a group format? Would it be helpful if they could connect with other people just like them and share the journey? And when you kind of slow it down and kind of build one piece at a time, it's a lot less overwhelming. And there are solutions that are, Lifter offers a lot that you can do from the website you already have, but there's also great point solutions. Just like right now, we're recording this conversation through Zoom. Zoom's a great tool for one-on-one and group meetings. It's probably the best. So use that for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So let's just talk at large about humans and online courses, because this is, this has been like humans and courses in general, but like what I saw happen in my course creator career was 20 years ago. I realized that like I had curriculums that I could teach better than the ones that were taught to me for very specific reasons to very specific people. Right. And it was very results focused of like, what does a typical person need to know about this versus like someone who's in a yoga teacher training or in an Ayurveda training? How do I make things practical? So I realized that I had curriculums. I haven't stopped realizing that. But can you just talk at large about this explosion of people teaching people?
Well, the really big explosion happened with the Big Bang or whatever. So at the beginning, humans are learning machines. Literally, we pass down what we know from generation to generation, and we try to get better as we go. It's literally what we're designed to do. So, from being a baby and mirror neurons and mirroring the parent, even looking outside into ecology. Like, my favorite metaphor for the internet is like the mycelial connections and how plants communicate through mushrooms. Like this interconnected learning adaptive machine of ecology that we live inside of, it's all learning. So it's at the biggest macro level, learning is what makes us human and also just makes us connect with the world around us. So, whether we're looking at schools or parenting or professional training or somebody is really fascinated in a certain hobby and they're trying to share it with somebody else. It's all learning. And what the internet's done for us is it's opened up the long tail. So, which means even if there's only a few people in the world, like an example I love to give, I have a Lift Your LMS customer who teaches people how to tie animal balloons. And there's this niche of people called kid entertainers. And there's literally only a total addressable market of 5,000 of these professional balloon artists around the world. I just interviewed him on my podcast, LMS Cast. Last year in 2021, he made $377,000 teaching people how to tie animal balloons. Now, could you go to a local community college or university and learn that? No, but this is the power of the internet. If you have this, whatever you're into, maybe it's a micro niche like that, or maybe it's a bigger niche that's, bigger, but you've got your own unique take, spin, personality, resonance that your vibe attracts your tribe. So you're going to find your position in the marketplace. So yeah, that's kind of the where we are today, and why this is exploding. It's just innate to who we are. And then the internet has never been more widely spread, easier to use. All the hardware and devices that we use on top of it have never been more affordable, higher quality, easy to create with. That we're having our own little Cambrian explosion here of education.
So I guess I'm curious, like where you see it going, and I'm thinking too of a lot of people that are like, well, I have something I want to teach, and I'd love to create my own curriculum, but like it's all already on YouTube or something like that, right? Like there's already 25 people answering that question on YouTube. Like, how do you help someone like that? Because they have a desire and then they have a conflict. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things in that question. One of them is we've all struggled with it, is imposter syndrome. That's just something that's rampant, especially when you get out on the stage of the internet or the YouTube channel, or you launch a product and you ask for money. There's this internal imposter syndrome to overcome. But also in terms of competition, like just as an example, I think there's somewhere around 500 learning management systems. So when I launched Lift Your LMS, I knew it was competitive, but there's only one me. I kind of got this WordPress focus. My vision on what the product is and what it should be is unique, and how we help the world. So you end up, it's all about finding your niche or your niche, and also your your style. One of the coolest things I hear people say who pull this off successfully, and you could probably resonate with this, Cate, is besides the money and the business or whatever, you get to kind of become completely you. I've heard people say that, like when they figure out their thing, whatever it's all about, it's also this like what I call liberation of like the creative soul or creative freedom. It's not just about money and impact. Those things matter. There's also this like ability to just kind of step into your highest, most authentic self, which can be extremely liberating. And it's often backwards from what people think they have to do, which is, okay, I need to get polished up for the video and put on my my professional. And yeah, you need to be professional and all that, but you can also just be really you.
Totally. I was watching one of your, what was it, the video? It was on your pricing video on YouTube of like how to price your courses. And you're wearing sunglasses and you're completely relaxed. But then you just like download a ton of content in 10 minutes, right? So it's like the value to someone who's listening and who's really trying to figure out pricing. And for us, like we're revisiting, we've been in business for 20 years and we're revisiting pricing this quarter.
Yeah.
Right? It's like not a problem that goes away. It's just one that, to me, it just like morphs with time to some degree and different perspectives. But the point is like I had more connection to you because you were showing up just as you are rather than pretending to be somebody else. And then I could really take in what you were saying because I'm like, oh, this guy's totally chill. And I'm pretty chill and live also in a pretty remote place where like people don't ever wear suits unless like someone died, Yeah. And there's that I like that whole thing of like, yeah, your vibe attracts your tribe and what happens in the process of becoming, where when you're talking about that creative and the liberation, my mind went to, in yoga, in yoga philosophy, this part goes like pretty far back. I don't even know how far back. It might be like Rig Veda, but it's like you've got 4 aims of life. It's like one of the most basic teachings of yoga. Like Arta, you've got a roof over your head and you have enough food to eat. Kama is like you like the roof over your head and your food tastes good, right? So life is good too, pleasurable. And then Dharma, which is like you have roles in your life. And this whole idea of past and future progressive communities and online courses is like there's a level of where do you fit into the human knowledge network, right? Or the wisdom network or the joy network or whatever your gift is. Like, but you don't get to experience that fulfillment unless you show up in that role fully. And then the 4th aim is moksha, or that liberation, that freedom. And so what I heard in what you're saying is like, it's the connection between dharma and moksha that's stepping into the power of being the creator, of being the leader and the teacher, enables. And I'll say one more thing and then pass it back to you. This concept, I've been thinking a lot about leadership and teaching a lot about leadership, and it's built into our community. We have a whole past of leadership, and you were talking about leadership before, and in community, like one of the things that I've come to be teaching lately is like you have to lead, like in any aspect of your life that you want to see move forward, in any aspect of the world you want to see move forward. Like you have to lead. Like you can't expect other people to lead. You can't sit back and complain about it and expect someone else to lead. You know, it's like, say your family's watching too much Netflix at night. It's like, don't expect anyone else to lead. Or like, say, you know, like say the fridge isn't organized. Like, don't expect anyone else. Like, invoke leadership. And to me, that's very much in that seat of the role, that dharma, and the liberation that's on the other side of it when we lead and we show others how to lead as well. I'd love your thoughts on that.
Well, I love that, taking that through the yogic tradition. It reminds me a lot of Maslow's hierarchy of needs too, which I can't remember word for word all the different levels, but the top levels like self-actualization, kind of that
Yeah.
moksha, I think you called it, the creative freedom or the liberation.
Yeah.
But leadership's everything. You know, I like to say we've moved past the information age into the integrated age. So we're in the process of becoming that. Yeah, I mean, we put up information, we sell it online, but people don't just want to buy the book and consume the book. They're looking for their life to change. They're looking for an integrated transformation to happen. In order to lead transformation, the best coaches or experts have been through it before. You know, they're on that hero's journey. They're coming at the end of their hero's journey, or at least doing a loop on it, and coming back with the elixir or as a guide and a mentor to the next person on the path. So that's what leadership is. But I agree, it starts with self-leadership. You know, a lot of what I do, you know, I see a lot of failure in our space too, of people who have the idea, I want to start an online business or, you know, monetize my passion or whatever. But one of the big mental blocks that gets in the way is an inward focus, where people are thinking a lot about them, what they want, and, you know, the life they want to get away from, the life they want to create, you know, the money they want, and the business they want, and all these things. But when you turn the lens outside to that of service and helping others get what they want, the people with that headspace tend to do a lot better. And it doesn't mean that you can't get what you want along the way, but that's a key. And a lot of that is just core leadership stuff, which is it's an inside job. It starts from the inside and works its way out.
Yeah, I like the question, how can I be useful? Right? Like that helps me pivot if I notice I'm more over like what I want my experience to be. I just want to say like the whole, you know, whatever, Facebook ads, I'll just pick on Facebook for a hot minute. If someone wants to be a course creator and they start searching for stuff and they start getting these retargeting ads on Facebook, and those ads are like, it's so easy, your dream lifestyle, make money while you sleep, passive. I can't tell you the number of people I talk to in our enrollment conversations that are like, I'm looking for passive income. I'm like, you and everybody else is looking for passive income. And like, as far as I can tell, it doesn't exist. Like every effort we've ever made and everything we've ever created that's like point, click, buy, there's a ton of effort in driving traffic to that and optimizing pages, and the competition's insane and yada, yada. So can you speak a little bit, because I love what you just said about focusing on me and my lifestyle. It's going to be, I'll probably fail in the field. I'll probably fail in this space, versus focusing on what could, I like to say, how could I be useful? Or like, where can I help people with something that I'm hopefully really driven to help people about, because then I'll have some energy behind it, also some passion behind when it gets hard to keep doing that. And I'd love for you to, do you have any numbers in terms of like how many people fail or in the online space, or what you've noticed over time?
I don't know. I know like I'm pretty immersed in the software company world, and I know other people who have software companies for creating courses and memberships and kind of in this industry. And there is a high turnover. Like many of them, I would say, if you were to average it all out, is somewhere around half. They lose half their people every year. So half people come in with goals and dreams, and another year later, it didn't work out, which is a sad truth. So that's a
And
stat.
is the business model there based on subscription? So they're paying like an annual subscription to host with that technology?
It depends on the technology. Like our deal is an annual subscription. A lot of software companies are monthly subscriptions. But yeah, those are, where it doesn't work out typically for half the people after 12 months of trying, which is sad. But one of the, a couple ways to work through that is a lot of people get wrapped up in what I call the mechanism. So like you mentioned, these retargeting ads, creating a course is a mechanism, a coaching business model is a mechanism, all this technology to automate your business is a mechanism. But if you slow down and think about the who, like who are we helping here? And what is the result they want? And then the mechanism just sits in the middle. And really the mechanism is the least important part. It's helping that particular person, for you, perhaps it's the yoga healer or the do-it-yourself person on a healing journey. Like that's a very specific who. And if it's all about service on there, you've got a lot of mechanisms to help facilitate change and transfer information and tools and practices and things like that. And the results they want, the healing they want, the business building they want, the stress or the lifestyle. Like there's all these clear results. So, the customer result mechanism framework is really simple, but it really works, because if you're missing one leg of that stool, like if you're not focused, I mean, like the balloon artist guy is focused, you're focused. If you don't have a clear result, like a lot of people get caught up in like what they know, which is one of the things that you impressed me about interviewing you. You got this like whole encyclopedia of Ayurveda and everything else out there, but you're also really good at like teaching it and simplifying it and right thing, right time for the person or the question or whatever. Like that ability is super important. And then just not getting too wrapped up in all the little tools and tactics and stuff. Because like you said online, a lot of the ads are, oh, there's this one little trick and you'll have amazing results, or you can start your coaching company in 24 hours or whatever. Like it's lacking an integrated view. Like you'll take out, like you got to have the whole pie. That's why I call it integrated when it comes to building an online education platform. And it's a big commitment. Like if that's what you're going to do, if you're going to go down that road, it's like a path, just like becoming a healer or a yogi is a path.
Yeah, I liked how in one of the videos I watched that you did, you talked about process change versus behavior change.
Yeah.
I actually told my enrollment people to watch it, because I'm like, you guys need to understand, like what we do in Body Thrive is behavior change, right? So people that sign up for that course, like we can guarantee their behaviors will change, because we know from all the past members, like that's what we built it for. That's what we keep improving it for. That's what happens. And that's really different than process change, which we do in yoga health coaching. It's just like, we're going to train you step by step in a business model to change something. Can you help someone realize what they want, if they want process change or behavior change? Like, is it always clear to the person that that's what they want? Because they're like, or not really?
Well, I think it's kind of like it's a coaching thing, it's a copywriting thing, it's a marketing thing. I learned this lesson in marketing, which is like, if you come inside your prospect's mind and you articulate their problem and their solution that they're desiring better than they can, you've got them, in the sense that you really, it's not that you're trying to control or manipulate them, but you really understand them.
Yeah.
So part of that is just kind of helping people get really clear on what the problem is, and then what the ideal solution is. Because if we don't have those things clear, it's harder to drive towards. Specifically, like a behavior change versus learning a process, I think it really just depends on the outcome, or the like what the problem is. Like if somebody is really held back from let's say they always wanted to start I'm just using an example from your niche, like a yoga business. If they have, maybe they want to learn the process, like, okay, what's step one? How do I do this professionally? But then you come to realize, like we were talking earlier about imposter syndrome. Maybe they've got some issues with this, like where they keep sabotaging everything, and we actually need to figure out a behavior change here so that they can fall in love with themselves again, or something. Like there's a behavior that has to change. That's going to, no matter what, block the process. But how would you even know where they're at until you kind of got into the initial engagement? So sometimes you got to get in the weeds and get in the mud a little bit with people to figure out the best path forward. I think, and for you as an established expert with a long track record, what happens is you build out this big catalog of materials and products and programs and processes yourself, which is cool, but it's also overwhelming to people. So then the amazing magic trick that can happen is, if somebody comes into somebody's world like that, is whether it's you or you figure out people, how others can run the process too, is to do like kind of like an initial engagement to meet people where they are and figure out what to do in what order. And that becomes really powerful for people. I was in a coaching program with somebody that helps software founders at my stage scale up, and it was amazing. It was super expensive, and I stayed in it for 2 years because I got so much value out of it. But one of the most valuable things that person did is, right after I bought, a week later, I'm in a private call with him, and there's a bunch of questions, figuring out where we're at, what our challenges were. And out of like 200 trainings, he's like, do these 5 in this order, and then we'll go from there. And that was like literally what made that whole thing work.
Oh, I love it. The customization within the larger program based on exactly where the person's at. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, that overwhelm of content library here. That hits close to home for sure. So I have a question. I mean, I have so many questions, but one is like men versus women, masculine versus feminine. I don't really care how we talk about it. Ways of learning and engagement for results. So because of my niche, and this may or may not be true, I might be making a ton of assumptions here, but health and wellness statistically is driven by females. Healing journey, very hard to get a man in a healing journey that's not already into yoga and that. So we're looking at like less than 5% there. But we really work hard to attract men into our programs, because we know that the ones who do come and succeed, they're grateful for it. So that making the extra effort in marketing and lowering that bar is, I find important. I'm curious about, on the engagement side, I've heard different theories on like women are more process oriented and conversational, and that's why like these online forums and coaching sessions matter more than just asynchronistic click to watch or quick to listen in, less engaged, more passive. What are your, my thoughts are like, I kind of think it's bullshit.
It
To
is.
some degree, that
It
men need to
is.
engage to learn too. Okay, go ahead.
But it's more, I get the masculine feminine thing and different styles there, but there's also just the learning styles. So the main ones are visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile or something like that. So really what I found in my experience, both as a learner and making programs and businesses and stuff, and also watching many people do it, is the tribe is not the same. So just like if you're in like a pack of animals of some kind, sometimes there's like the super nervous one or the super aggressive one, or the one that's like always out in the front, the one that's always out in the back, the ones that's a lone rider, the one that's like the clique. So humans are like that too. And I think the personality types and the learning styles and the gender continuum or whatever is what makes it awesome and confusing as hell at the same time. But when it comes to learning, it's always surprising. I see this happen to people, especially in the earlier stages, where they think that everybody else has their learning style, which is, oh yeah, everybody loves to watch videos. I'm kind of a video and audio guy, but I've run into people that like just hate video. They just want to read, or people that are like, just give me the assignment. I'm kinesthetic. Just, I need to get moving with this material. Like, I don't want to spend a lot of time intellectualizing it. There's people that like go through it fast. There's people, those are called scanners. And then there's people that go through it slow. So my general advice, while it's a lot of work, is to try to have something for everybody and not be too rigid on what you think is the best way. Another great example of this from the online learning space is some people like to really force drip content or doing things in a certain order and stuff. Some learners actually want to go really fast. Some people actually like to start with the last lesson and work their way backwards. And as a teacher, you might like pull your hair out, but they're just different. So my advice is to meet people where they are. And the way I like to think about avoiding kind of overwhelm with all that is just like, what's the minimum you could do? Like if you were to have just adding your slides as a download as an example might help the readers. Just having a free Facebook group that's easy to set up can kind of help with those people that need more clicky community kind of support. Having an assignment that's like super quick and easy, but that would like allow people to immediately put into action at least a piece of what they just learned. You don't have to go crazy with it, but just kind of have an open mind and share a little love to all the different types.
I love it. I can't agree more, especially with the like visual, audio, video, like on the screen. Like we do a lot of writing on tablets and real time and then posting the screenshots later so they come back and see. And it just, yeah. And also the assumptions around like, I used to have an assumption that if people were live on my sessions, they'd get more out of the course. And we found this not to be true. We also thought like live coaching versus watching the lessons, that one would preference the other two results. And that was also totally shot out by people that never showed up live, just watched the lessons, had massive results. People who never watched a lesson, only showed up live, had massive results. And then it's like, oh, people find their way.
Yeah. That's the trick.
So, with the forum, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
We built, what did we do? We built an app. So we're on WordPress, but what do we use? Memberium, LearnDash. And we used a Boss app to put it all in the app so people could, because what we found at one point was like, oh my gosh, 50% of the people on our course or more are on their phone. And that was like 4 years ago when we realized that, like, oh my gosh, we need to be way more mobile friendly, that they can just open their app and resume their lesson where they're at. And that was super tricky. partially because of the amount of content. But one of the things with a lot of the apps is they're like have the conversation within the app. But what we found was that, and we looked at Mighty Networks, I think a couple of years ago too, when, Mark Zuckerberg gets this fair amount of hate for sure, and potentially for good reason. A lot of people in our, super sensitive new agey community are just off Facebook or off Instagram for those reasons. And so I would say over the course of the last, probably started 10 years ago, with starting to field those sorts of complaints of like, I don't engage with Facebook. And they'd be a great customer, but our forums are on Facebook. Each course has a forum, a private forum. And what we found was that Facebook just was so much better at what was coming next in terms of like the live streaming and allowing our members to introduce each other on a video, just press a button and do a video rather than need to record something and then upload it, which for many of our members is way too technical. They also seem to put more attention into groups and files and like keep up with technology. And a lot more people were using Facebook Messenger, so they were bonding. And this is a huge part of our community. Is we always say like you don't come to find your new best friends, but you'll find your new best friends because everyone's growing together because they're part of an evolving community. So like you find people who are evolving at the pace and in the direction you are. So there's more reason to connect outside of our course and on with your life. And it seemed like Facebook was naturally able to do that. I'd love your thoughts on this, or what, like where are progressive communities going in terms of forums and messaging, and within the same app or within other platforms?
Well, first, just with a little piece of history, one of the first social communities was called The Well. It started on the internet in the Haight-Ashbury part of San Francisco, like a super long time ago. So, online community has always been a progressive kind of thing. And there's always challenges with the technology. Just like you, I hear it a lot, and I have my own issues with Facebook or whatever, and some people really take a stand. But for many people, and we even have like a social learning part of what we do, but it's the big challenge is getting people on a dedicated social platform is actually really hard. But if you integrate into Facebook, especially if they're already a Facebook user, it's almost like a reminder. You're already in their flow. They know how to use it. And it's actually a lot less friction than having a dedicated social app, though there are options out there. There's also two things to differentiate here, which are a social network and like more of a forum. So a social network is like a feed that just goes and disappears, and maybe there's a search function and you can resurface things, but it just kind of goes. Whereas a forum is more of like a structured bulletin board, maybe around topics. If you ever have like a problem with your car or something in your house and you end up on a forum post from 3 years ago and people are trying to solve it, those are also useful. I find that forums are easier for people like education entrepreneurs like yourself to like kind of create your own and like own it. And over time, the resource gets more and more valuable. And as long as you kind of design into the flow, like getting people to use it and get the value out of it, that's much easier than trying to have your own social network. But from a social network standpoint, a Facebook community is really good. There are some really good competitors to Facebook. Like there's something called circle.so that's becoming really powerful. That's like it's very Facebook-like, and it's your own app, but it's that same challenge of getting people to use it. But if you can do it, you can do it. Like really strong communities, I see people that took the stand on Facebook end up going back to Facebook so that they can participate in the thing. Like sometimes it happens. But yeah, social learning is a challenge. There's so many different tools. The other aspect not to be overlooked is a non-asynchronous kind. So using actually a calendar. Some of the most engaged communities I've seen will actually use a Google Calendar and have events like Zoom webinars or meetings with people or breakout groups and things like that. And they're using the calendar inviting system. So once you get, basically the point is, once you get inside somebody's calendar, you're again integrating into their flow. And in terms of like adoption, getting people to engage with the community with the tools they're already using to manage their life and entertain themselves and keep track of everything. That's what it's all about. You can kind of carve off your own world and do your own thing, but it's nice to have some tendrils into the normal world, if you will.
Yeah, that was really, I mean, we talked on your show about how I started with Ning, and we had such a cool truly a forum, and it was organized by topics and searchable, and like you wouldn't lose stuff, and we could put resources in and all that. But yeah, getting people to use Ning, that was like one thing where like now our whole tactic, and this may be changed 10 years ago, was like, we're surround sound. Like we're going to be in your email. We're going to show up in your Facebook. Like we're going to show up all over the place for you because we know what you committed to this end result. And we know the more your awareness is with us, the better chance we have at getting you to that result. So that's a good confirmation of that. So I'm so curious about the Google Calendar though. So how do you do, is that just creating a shareable Google Calendar that then they can check the box off and they can see then what's going on?
The best I've seen it done is like this was in like a coaching community of like 600 members. And they were literally inviting, like they would have maybe 3 live events a week, like a guest expert, the main thing, maybe this other kind of get together event thing.
Yeah.
And literally just using the calendar invite system that has like hundreds of people invited to the thing. And just, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm super busy. I live and die by my calendar because if I didn't have it, my brain would explode.
Yeah,
so
totally.
If it's on the calendar, just like this recording session we're on, it's happening. So
yeah.
But so using that as opposed to just like kind of having on your website, hey, there's a meeting on Friday at this time in this time zone. It's way more powerful to like kind of figure out how to get the calendar involved.
I love it. We're doing that to some degree, but I can hear from this that there's a level to it that I'm excited to explore. Okay, so what do you see in terms of the future of online learning? So wrap up question, like big picture, past and future, online learning and course creation. Like where's this whole thing going?
Well, there's a lot of trends. So the big trends are, one, it's not going away. It's not over. Like it's actually been going on for a long time. It's kind of having a moment right now, but it's going to continue to evolve. The tools are going to get easier to use. People's expectations are going to continue to climb in terms of quality and what they get and, how smooth the experience is. The creator economy, just like YouTube and TikTok and all, I don't know if you're on TikTok, I know you're on YouTube, and all the stuff you do is going to continue to disrupt traditional media. And more and more people around the world are still coming online. Like this whole show is just going to continue to get a lot bigger. The biggest challenges are for both the creator and the consumer are quality and overwhelm. So as much as we can increase the quality and help people kind of with that signal to noise ratio of, okay, the video is only as long as it has to be, the quality's there, the little mini transformation milestones I get on the journey are good, the learning styles are accommodated. It's just going to continue. And this whole thing with like the metaverse or whatever, which is really, in my view, just the amount of time that people spend online compared to in person kind of thing, is continuing to increase. And I'm a person who's done a lot of traveling and whatnot, and because I have a background in anthropology, I've spent time in just some different cultures and things like that. But online, like all the kind of circles I run in of like software people or course creator people or live off the land kind of people, I have all my little communities all over the place, both in person and online. I think that that niching is just going to continue to, the slices are just going to get even more and more fine-tuned. So we're not going to, it's not like the opportunity has passed for the creator, or if you're looking to join a community or learn something. I think over time, there's just going to be more and more options to choose from, by more and more creators that resonate even more with you. So those are some of my top predictions.
Awesome. That's super helpful. I really, you know, I think for some of us who got into this, it's like we didn't realize what we were doing until we were in it. Like, oh, I'm a course creator. Oh,
Yeah.
right. So that was a really great wrap up of the different categories. So thank you. Thank you for that. So everyone, Chris Badgett, who's been on the show, he also has his own podcast. If anyone wants to learn more about learning management systems, you should check out the online course guy at LMS Cast is his podcast. Anything else, Chris, you want to mention?
I'm pretty active on Twitter. If you just want to reach me, that's a good place. So just at Chris Badgett, and I'm always happy to help. You know, entrepreneurship and this whole like kind of creative expression thing is a journey. So I'm easy to connect with, and yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Cate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for making it easy for people to create impactful online courses. It's fantastic.